have been requesting more reading vlogs, so here I am fulfilling that request. Last summer I read 7 romance books in 7 days, and honestly that was really hard. But this time around I think I'm going to switch it up and read as many romance books as I can in 1 week from Monday to Friday. I feel like that will be better for me and actually give me a chance to enjoy the book that I'm reading without feeling too much pressure. I might end up reading 1 book a day anyways, but there are a few romance books that I have been meaning to start, and I think this video gives me a perfect opportunity to start reading those books. So we're just going to have a very fun week of reading together. The first book that I want to start reading to kick off this reading challenge is The Chase, which is the first book in the Briar You series by Elle Kennedy. If you're unfamiliar with Elle Kennedy, she also wrote the Off Campus series. And I read the entire Off Campus series last year. Loved the first book, The Deal. It's my favorite book in the entire series. The other books in the series were okay, but I didn't really find them as good as the first one. But I enjoyed that series enough that I definitely have been wanting to check out her second series, which is like a spin-off series to that series. This one basically follows Summer, who is a super outgoing, bubbly female, and then it also follows Colin Fitzgerald, who is basically the opposite of Summer. He is very low-key, very chill, loves to play his video games. Summer is obviously attracted to Colin from the very first time that they meet, but Colin kind of pushes her away and gives off the vibe that even though he's attracted to her, he doesn't want to pursue anything with her. As the title suggests, Summer's like, listen, I'm not going to be out here chasing no man, so if you want something to happen between us, you're gonna have to make the first move. Hopefully this series is actually better than the Off Campus series, because like I said, the first book, The Deal, was amazing, but then the other books got progressively worse. High expectations, but we are going to start this book now. Summer is wearing foundation that costs $200. Do they even make foundation that expensive? Like, does it have gold? Like, does it last forever? Who pays $200 for foundation? What the heck? Yeah, no, I could never. All right, so there's this part in the book where Summer and her friend Brenna, I think that's how you pronounce it, are talking about fantasy books. And her friend is going on a rant saying that she tried reading a fantasy book but couldn't get through it because the author spent 9 pages describing a tree. And I'm laughing because fantasy books really be like that sometimes. Sometimes they're way too descriptive with their scenery that you're just like, okay, I get it. The scenery is beautiful. The trees are beautiful. The water's beautiful. Do we really need to spend all this time describing the scenery? Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a good fantasy book here and there, but sometimes they are kind of long-winded. This book has so many pop culture references, and that normally would annoy me because it makes me feel like the author is trying too hard to be relevant, but for some reason the pop culture references in this book I'm actually enjoying. But there's been references to Selena Gomez, who I love, Legally Blonde, another movie that I love, The Matrix, a movie that I don't understand but I know is very popular. Just really enjoying all of these pop culture mentions. I'm 100 pages in, and I have to say that I'm enjoying this book immensely. The characters in this one are just so funny. Like, I love Summer. I love her personality. I've been really enjoying Fit's dialogue as well. Summer's friend Brenna is so funny. I hope she gets her own book because I love her personality. She's such a badass queen. So it's been a very good read so far. One of Summer's professors is giving me major creep vibes, and I already know he's going to be an issue later on in this book. He's literally giving off predator vibes. So gross. Both Fitz and Summer are afraid to make the first move. So they're both waiting for the other person to make the first move. And I feel like they're going to be waiting for a while. They definitely have major communication issues, which normally the miscommunication trope annoys the living hell out of me. But in this book, it's oddly not bothering me at all. Like literally their problems could be solved if they were just completely honest with one another and upfront about their feelings. But they keep going back and forth pretending that their attraction doesn't exist. I wonder who's going to ultimately make the first move, because it's just been a waiting game for them to get together. Also, while Fitz and Summer are trying to figure out what they feel for one another, they have a roommate who actually like Summer a lot, and I feel as if Summer has been leading him on in a way, because they've already made out and she said yes to a date with him. They haven't gone yet, but she did say yes to the date. Everything that she's complaining about Fitz, she's kind of doing the same thing to this other roommate. Again, I just feel bad for the roommate. Like Summer clearly has no interest in him, yet she's doing things with him that you wouldn't do unless you were into a certain person. So I can totally see why this roommate is getting like mixed signals from Summer. There's two side characters in this book that I literally cannot stand. They give me such creepy vibes. The first one being Summer's professor, which I've already talked about. He just seems like a creepy sleazeball. Yeah, don't like him at all. But then the second side character is the CEO of a video game company that Fitz is interested in, and he's interviewing a job at this company, but the CEO is just such an ass. Clearly has issues with Fitz being a hockey player, even though he's super talented in graphic design. He keeps making these little comments about jocks and about Fitz being a jock. So I really don't like him at all, and I feel like he's also going to be an issue in this book, and I can't wait for Fitz to put him in his place, because he definitely needs to be put in his place. I cannot stand when someone uses their past experiences to judge absolutely everyone that falls into a certain category. For example, in this case, jocks. Just because one or two jocks were mean to you doesn't mean that every athlete is an ass and that you should treat them as an ass. So I can't wait for him to learn his lesson. What do you want, mommy? Do you want to come up here? There you go. You want to cuddle? Okay, we can cuddle. I like Fitz, but he's being a complete ass towards Summer right now. Instead of being honest about his feelings and why he's scared to start a relationship with her, he pushes her away and kind of makes her second guess herself, makes her feel shitty. She knows that Fitz is attracted towards her, and she feels like he's playing mind games with her, which I totally understand her perspective, and he just needs to hurry up and be honest about his feelings. Like, this whole book has been about him not wanting to open up with her, and I get it, we all have our baggage, but at the same time, like, if you really like someone, then you need to make an effort to talk about your feelings. He's just being an ass right now. Dean, a character from the off-campus series, has been making appearances here and there because Summer is actually his little sister, and I honestly forgot how much I loved him. I feel like rereading his love story with Allie all over again. I love that some of the characters from the off-campus series are making little appearances here and there in this book. It just ties everything together, and I love when authors do that. It gives me all the good feels. Stop. Tom Brady was just mentioned in this book, and I love Tom Brady. So sad that we lost in the playoffs, but I don't want to talk about it. But the fact that this book mentions Tom Brady just makes me love it even more. I feel like it was written for me. It's mentioning all of my favorite movies, my favorite celebrities. It's been a good time over here. I feel like this book ended super abruptly. I don't really like that ending. There's not even like an epilogue. It just ended. I don't know how I feel about that. As I've mentioned probably 20 times already, I really liked all the characters in this book, especially Summer. Loved her personality. She was so fun to read. Her dialogue with literally everyone in the book was just 10 out of 10 for me. And I kind of wish I had a friend like her because she seems like so much fun. So I feel like her character was super well written. I really enjoy Fitz, not as much as Garrett, but I still enjoyed his love story with Summer. I feel like this book truly teaches the importance of not judging a book by its cover, not judging a person by solely their appearance. Even though someone may appear like they have everything and their life is perfect, no one's life is perfect, so you should never judge someone based on their appearance, for better for worse. So I think that was the overall message of this book, and I really enjoyed it. Aside from the abrupt ending, which I'm kind of upset about, I still give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I would definitely recommend it to you guys, especially if you enjoy the off-campus series. I'm really excited to continue the series. I'm literally going to go on Amazon and order the rest of the books. I'm so happy I started off this reading challenge with this book. We're off to a good start, you guys. 4 out of 5 stars. Not a bad way to begin this reading week. Now that I finished that book, I'm going to get ready for bed, take off my makeup, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another reading session. Today's book of the day is going to be The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. This is the sequel slash spin-off to The Axe Hacks. I actually read The Axe Hacks last fall and really enjoyed it. It was a cute little romantic comedy, perfect for the fall. I think that this one also takes place in Halloween. I kind of wish I read it in the fall, but I don't think it was out yet. I think this came out maybe like late fall. I don't really remember when. I'm actually pretty excited to read this. It follows a character that was introduced in The Axe Hacks, and I really enjoyed her character in that book, so I'm excited to read her love story in this one. And this book is fairly short. There's only 306 pages, so I feel like I'm going to be able to fly through this today. I'm just in the mood for a light romantic comedy, nothing too deep, nothing too serious, and hopefully this book fits that criteria for me. If you're unfamiliar with this book, on the back it goes, Gwyn Jones is perfectly happy with her life in Graves Glen. She, her mom, and her cousin have formed a new and powerful coven. As Halloween approaches, so it does take place in Halloween, there's only one problem: Wells Penhallow. Wells has come to Graves Glen to reestablish his family's connection to the town they founded and to make a new life for himself after years of being the dutiful son in Wells. When he opens up a shop of his own, Penhallows, just across the street from something wicked, he quickly learns he's gotten more than he bargained for in going up against Gwen. When the professional competition leads to a very personal and very hot kiss, both Wells and Gwen are determined to stay away from each other, convinced the kiss was just a magical fluke. But when a mysterious new coven of witches comes to town and Gwen's powers begin fading, she and Wells must work together to figure out just what these new witches want and how to restore Gwen's magic before it's too late. So Gwen was actually the character that was introduced in The Axe Hacks, and I loved her personality in that book. I've heard really good things about this book, so I'm excited, and we are just going to start reading. The prologue starts in the past, which is actually how The Axe Hacks started, and we get to see how the two main characters met for the very first time, which it wasn't a great encounter, but I'm already obsessed with Gwen's sassy attitude and personality. Vivian and Reese, the two main characters from the first book, The Axe Hacks, are actually married now, which is so cute. I wonder how much time has passed between the first book and this one. The time gap hasn't been mentioned yet, but I just think it's so cute that Vivi and Reese are now married. I love that for them. I have to say that so far I'm really enjoying this book, even more so than The Axe Hacks. I enjoyed The Axe Hacks, but I didn't really connect with the two main characters at all, and I wasn't really rooting for their love story. Like, I could have cared less if they ended up together or not. But with this book, the two main characters are actually really funny in their own way, and I love Gwen's personality. She's so sassy, she's so outspoken. Wells is literally the complete opposite of her. Like, he's not afraid to speak his mind, but he's much more reserved, and I just love their dynamic when they're together and their banter. I'm enjoying it a lot. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy it more than The Axe Hacks, but here I am. Alright, you guys, I just finished The Kiss Curse, and I have to say that I enjoyed this book so much more than The Axe Hacks. Like I mentioned before, I really struggled to connect to the two main characters in The Axe Hacks. Like, they weren't bad characters, they weren't annoying or anything. I just felt no connection with them. Versus in this book, the two characters were just so lovable. I just enjoyed their banter a lot more than the two main characters from the first book. Honestly, it was just such a simple, cute, romantic comedy. The little black cat is probably my favorite character in this series. I love him so much. If you're looking for a quick read that's not super deep, that's just going to be a good time, definitely check out The Kiss Curse. The writing's pretty simple and the plot is pretty straightforward, but it's still such a cozy, comforting read, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. So I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. This is definitely going to be a book that I recommend for the fall season because it does take place during the Halloween season, and I think it will be even better if you read it, you know, during spooky season. It's not scary, it's not horror at all, it's literally a romantic comedy, but I don't know, I just think it will be such a cozy read for the fall season. Obviously you can read this now, you don't have to wait until the fall. I just read it today and it's January. I wonder if there's going to be a third book. I'll have to look it up. The ending was kind of like open-ended, so I wonder if there will be a third book on the third and hollow brother. I feel like that would be really cool. I don't know, I'm gonna look it up and see, but yeah, but definitely recommend The Kiss Curse. 4 out of 5 stars. Good morning. I have spent the morning reading. Literally, I'm still in my pajamas. I just woke up in the mood to read, so that's what I did. I started The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Almas, which I have been meaning to start this book for such a long time now, but I just have not gotten around to starting it. This is the follow-up to The Spanish Love Deception, which was one of my favorite books of 2022. I know that a lot of people don't like that book, but I actually really enjoyed it. Aaron Blackford has my heart forever. So when this book came out, I was really excited to start it, but honestly I was a little hesitant because I love The Spanish Love Deception so much that I was afraid this book was going to let me down, so then I just never read it. But if you're unfamiliar with this book, it's basically about Rosie Graham, who is Lena's, the main character from The Spanish Love Deception, best friend. They actually used to work together until Rosie quit her full-time job to pursue her dream of becoming a romance writer. The only problem is that she is experiencing writer's block, so she has a deadline that she has to meet for a second romance book, and she is literally nowhere near finishing the second book. She basically hasn't even started the second book. To make matters worse, the ceiling of her apartment collapses and she is forced to head to Lena's now empty apartment to spend a few days there until the ceiling of her apartment is fixed. Lena is currently on her honeymoon, so the apartment is just sitting empty. Little does she know that Lena actually promised her empty apartment to her cousin Lucas, and he actually shows up on the same night that Rosie shows up. They now have to share this apartment, hence why it's called The American Roommate Experiment. Once Lucas learns that Rosie has been struggling to write her romance book, he offers to take her on a series of experimental dates all around New York City. Through that process, they end up spending a lot of time together and, you know, sparks fly. The only problem is that Lucas is set to return home to Spain in 6 weeks, so he's literally leaving the country in 6 weeks and doesn't want to get attached to Lena or lead her on or anything. Like I said, I've spent the morning reading the first half of the book and I have to say that I'm really enjoying it. It is a slow burner. Like if you're expecting a fast-paced romance book, this one is not it. Kind of reminds me of The Spanish Love Deception in that way, that there's a lot of build up to a romance that you know is going to happen but it hasn't quite happened yet. Like not even a kiss has happened. I love both the characters, Rosie and Lucas. I actually feel bad for both of them because they are both dealing with a lot of crap in their lives right now. Obviously, Rosie is dealing with the fact that she hasn't been able to write. Also, her apartment ceiling fell. And then she also has a lot of family things going on. And Lucas was a pro surfer. Something traumatic happened to him while he was surfing, so he is injured and he doesn't feel like he can ever go back to his old life of being a pro surfer. He's dealing with all of that, and both of them are just in need of a shoulder to cry on, basically, because they're both holding on to so much baggage and so much crap, and they're trying to be strong for everyone else, but in reality they definitely need someone to lean on. Both of the characters are so endearing. I don't know if that's the correct word to use, but I just really like them. Lena and Aaron from the Spanish Love Deception, Mr. Aaron Blackford, has made an appearance in this book. I'm just so happy to read about them and know that they got their happily ever after. And it just reminds me how much I loved Aaron Blackford and Lena together. There's a vampire TV show that keeps getting referenced in this book, and I think the author is referencing the Vampire Diaries. She hasn't directly named the TV show. I'm just assuming based on all the references. And I used to be obsessed with the Vampire Diaries. Like, I absolutely adored that show. So if you are a Vampire Diaries fan and if you've read this book, let me know in the comments below if you think the vampire show that Elena Armas keeps referencing in this book is Vampire Diaries. I think it is. There's too many similarities for it not to be the Vampire Diaries. But, you know, there's like 100 different vampire shows out there, so it may have nothing to do with the Vampire Diaries. I don't know. Yeah. I really liked, can this focus? Okay, I'm sorry, it's really cold in my apartment, but I really liked Lena in the Spanish Love Deception, but for some reason, she is being hella annoying in this book. She doesn't want her best friend and her cousin to get together, which I understand why she would have hesitations with Rosie and Lucas getting together. She doesn't want her best friend in the entire world to get hurt, which I completely understand, but at the same time, Lucas and Rosie are grown-ups. They are adults. They shouldn't have to be asking permission to have a relationship. They shouldn't have to feel like they can't have a relationship because Lena will be disappointed in them, or feel like they have to hide their true feelings from Lena. And I just need her to have several seats somewhere and let them figure out their romance themselves without her input. Aaron, though, anytime he's shown up, has been magical. Like, his presence in this book is just 10 out of 10 for me. He's barely said anything, but when he shows up, it just feels amazing. I don't know how to explain it. Hi. You're so cute. You guys, things are finally starting to happen between Rosie and Lucas. Things are getting spicy. I just finished the American Roommate Experiment. I have to say that I really enjoyed this book. Honestly, it was such a solid follow-up slash sequel to the Spanish Love Deception, but I also feel like it was its own book. Yes, the two main characters from the Spanish Love Deception made an appearance here and there, but for the most part, it didn't feel like I was reading an exact copy of the Spanish Love Deception, which I've mentioned this a couple times on my channel already. I sound like a broken record, but the follow-up to The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood felt like the exact same book as The Love Hypothesis, and for that reason I didn't really enjoy Love on the Brain, versus this one feels like it's completely its own love story, which it is. I don't know if I'm making sense. I just really enjoyed this book. I loved all the characters, especially the main characters, obviously. I did find Rosie kind of annoying at times, I'm not gonna lie, but I completely understand where she was coming from and why she had to feel like she had to fix everything. If I'm being honest, at one point in my life I was a little like Rosie, where I felt like I had to be the peacemaker and I had to fix absolutely everything and have my shit together and couldn't lose my shit. So I kind of relate to Rosie in that way. Lucas was absolutely perfect. He was just so sweet. It does get spicy. I don't think it's as spicy as the Spanish Love Deception, which I actually like. Most of the spice happens towards the very last part of the book. I moved to a different room because I don't know what my upstairs neighbor is doing right now, but it was causing a lot of noise. But where was I? Most of the spice happens towards the end of the book. I enjoy that. I'm not really into super spicy books. I always find them super cringy. So I like that the spice wasn't overdone in this book. I will say that it is a slow burner. If you're not into slow books, then stay far, far away from this book. Normally, I don't like slow-paced books, but for some reason, the fact that this book was slow didn't really bother me as much. There were some parts where I felt like the plot dragged a little bit, but honestly, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it and definitely recommend it to you guys. I don't know what book I want to read next. Should I read Too Late by Colleen Hoover, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, or Addicted to You? I'm kind of leaning towards Addicted to You since I've read a lot of rom-coms this week. This one is definitely not a rom-com, and I think it's a pretty deep book from the synopsis. I don't know. Any help? today's going to be a late one because I didn't have time to read during the day, and now it's almost 8 o'clock at night and I haven't started a new book, which is fine. I'm not too stressed about it. It is Thursday, so I'll just finish this next book between today and tomorrow, and that way I'll still be reading for an entire week. Tonight I decided to start Addicted to You by Krista and Becker Ritchie. This is the first book in the Addicted series. I've heard so many great things about this series. I literally have not heard anyone talk badly about this series, which kind of makes me a little nervous because it's so beloved. Hopefully it lives up to its hype. The synopsis of this book is also very different from anything that I would normally gravitate towards, which also makes me a little nervous because it's definitely out of my comfort zone. Like, it is a romance book, but it deals with some pretty heavy topics that I normally don't like to read about in books. If I'm being honest, I like my books to be filled with happy vibes. I feel like the real world is scary enough, so I don't really like reading deep books. But since this one has so much praise, I decided to give it a chance. If you're unfamiliar with this book, the synopsis on the back goes: while everyone is dancing at college bars, Lily stays in the bathroom to get laid. One night stands, steamy hookups, and events she shamefully regrets. The only person who knows her secret happens to have one of his own. Lauren Hale's best friend is his bottle of bourbon. Lily comes a close second. For 3 years, they pretended to be in a real relationship, hiding their addictions from their families. They've mastered the art of concealing flasks and random guys who filter in and out of their apartment. But as they sink beneath the weight of their addictions, they cling harder to their destructive relationship and wonder if a life together for real is better than a lie. Strangers and family begin to infiltrate their guarded lives, and with new challenges, they realize they may not be addicted to just alcohol and sex. Their real vice may be each other. Again, a very different love story than I normally would gravitate towards, but I've heard so many good things about this book and about this series in general that I am going to give it a shot, and hopefully I like it. I don't know, I'm a little nervous. I don't know how long I'm going to read for tonight because I am feeling a little tired. I'll just update you guys as I go, like always. This book is incredibly toxic, and so far I don't know how I feel about it. I'm enjoying the writing. The writing is very addicting, but the two characters definitely need an intervention. Like, I feel so bad for them. Let's keep reading. You guys, I feel like I'm legit struggling to read this book. I'm on page 143, chapter 16, so almost halfway done with the book already. I'm not really enjoying it. Like, I'm reading it just to get through it, but not because I'm enjoying it. The two main characters are just so toxic, and I understand it's because of their addictions. They really can't control it. They're not ready to ask for help or to receive help, but at the same time, their behaviors are just so toxic, and Lily is just so selfish at times, like getting upset with Lowen sleeping with a random female when that's literally all she does. Like, how are you going to get upset at him and cause this big scene for literally sleeping with a girl when you told him he needed to go sleep with a girl, and you're literally doing the same thing every night with different dudes? Like, the hypocrisy. It's for Lily's benefit. She realizes that she's being a hypocrite, and she said that she's being a hypocrite, but she's too into her emotions that she's not ready to change her behavior. I'm at the part of the book where they are going to try to have a relationship, like a real relationship, not a fake one, and try to stay monogamous with one another. I just feel like you can't have a healthy relationship with someone when you both have your own demons to fight. I don't know. I just feel like this book is a little too toxic for my taste. Unless it picks up and something changes, I don't know if I'm going to continue this series because it's just a little too toxic for me. I don't know. Okay, you guys, I hate DNFing books, but I think I'm going to DNF this book for right now. And I tried reading a little bit of this book this morning, but I just couldn't really get into it. I don't know. Maybe I have to keep reading the book and it'll get less toxic down the line. But for now, I'm just like over it and not in the mood to read this type of book. I'm not going to DNF it forever though. I am going to try reading a little bit every single day. I feel like that way I can, my cat's tail, that way I can digest the book better and handle the book better instead of trying to force myself to read it in one sitting. Let me know in the comments below if you read this book, if you found it to be a little too heavy, and does it get better? Does the series get better? For now, I'm DNFing. For the most part, I feel like this was a pretty successful reading week. I read 3 full books and half of one, almost 4 books, and let's just quickly recap them. The Chase by Elle Kennedy, 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend for you guys to read it. If you're into hockey and college romances, then I feel like you'll really enjoy this. Just know it's a little spicy. All of these books are actually spicy. Of course, The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. If you're looking for a nice, cozy, comforting read that's also kind of funny, definitely check out this book. And then we have The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Almas, 4 out of 5 stars. It's a very slow book, so if you're not into slow burns, again, stay away from this one because you're not going to enjoy it. But if you don't mind a slow burn romance, then definitely check it out. And then you guys already know how I feel about Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Definitely look up the trigger warnings before you pick up this book. I don't think it's a bad book by any means. I just don't think it fits with my personal taste when it comes to books. We all like different things and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I am going to continue to read it, but I'm just going to read maybe a couple chapters here and there instead of forcing myself to read it all in one sitting. If you ask me, a pretty successful reading week. I enjoyed most of the books that I read this week. Literally like 95% of the books that I read were all 4 stars. But I'm going to end off this video here. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.